Hi, Heather here from Creative Kiwi. Please join me in watching how we make our very cute In the Hoop Santa gift card holders. Now they're made in one hooping for the 5x7 hoop, but if you just have a 4x4 hoop you can still make the same size design. We just make it in two hoopings and we have them joined together as we make the design. And that's what this video is to show, how you actually do the 4x4 size. Our videos are designed to go together with the written instructions that are included with your design file. So the video shows more the techniques that we actually use to make the designs, like the joining and the stabilizers and such that we use, but full written instructions, including for the 5x7 design in this instance, are included when you download the file. So you can see there, our little Santa gift card just has a wee pocket on the front that you can put a gift card in, or some lollies, money, anything like that. Just something a little bit cute to give for Christmas. And they are, well, not completely reversible. They are very neat on the back, so you can obviously have them both sides showing. Anyway, let's get started. So the first thing with these designs are they are stitched out on 2 layers of water-soluble stabilizer, the fabric type. This is just so you can completely remove the stabilizer at the end, and also that the stabilizer is strong enough to take the satin stitch edges and doesn't tear away, which can happen with other stabilizers. So you can see there I've hooped 2 layers of water-soluble stabilizer, and I use the pinning method. This just ensures there's no movement in the hoops. Then it's off to the machine. So we stitch the first outline on the stabilizer, and this is just the outline of the bottom portion of the design. You do need to stitch these designs in the correct order so that you get the join in the right place. So I didn't have a tassel on this sample, but you can take a tassel in place on the bottom at this point before you put the pellin or batting on. Here you can see I've just added the batting on top of the hoop. You can tape it in there if you prefer. And again, it's just going to stitch around the outline of the batting. And then what we're going to do is remove the hoop from the machine and just cut away that excess batting. This just makes it easier for later and takes away the bulk from the seams. Now I'm just marking there. There are some placement lines just stitch on the stabilizer, but if you just mark them in place, it makes it easier later. You add your backing fabric now, you can see you get that pretty quilting design showing on the back of the design. But if you were going to add your own embroidery design to that bottom part, you could just use it as an ornament, then you'd want to add the backing later. So there's just two choices there. For my one, I've just added the backing at the back now, so it is looking pretty on the back. And as you can see, what I've got there is I've actually got a heavyish type felt as my backing fabric, and I'm just taping that to the back of the hoop. And obviously if you had a patterned fabric, you would have the right side facing up. Now turn back to the right side, and you're just going to place your fabric on top of the hoop, and yeah, you can tape that in place. Now we're back at the machine and we're just going to stitch that fabric down. Now the next step from that is just to start stitching that quilting stitch. Now you can leave that out. If you've got a pretty fabric, you don't need to just stitch the quilting design. Once you've done that, it's just added in here. If you wanted to put in your own picture, a name or anything like that, you need to do it at this point. And this is so, obviously we're going to add a pocket on top, which you can leave out. But also if you have added a design, you'd want to put your backing at this point. Anyway, here we are. I've just got a piece of organza, but basically it's just a piece of folded material folded in half, and you have the folded edge along the placement lines along the top, and then you just tape them in place. And so this is optional. You don't need to have a pocket, or you could put the pocket on the back which is just exactly do the same but on the back side, and you could have a embroidery design on the front. Now back at the machine, now there's just this little point here that you need to watch. Now you can tape it down, just that edge where the fabric goes over. I don't like stitching over tape, so I choose to stop my machine just as I get to that point and make sure that it's not going to roll or cause a problem. But certainly you could place put tape there just to tape down that one edge if you don't get it on this side. Or you can actually put the plastic solvy topper. If you're really worried, you could put a layer of that over the top of the entire hoop when you're stitching down this type of thing, and that way you do not have to worry all about anything getting caught in your machine. Once you've got that attached though, now we're just going to remove the hoop from the machine, and we're going to cut away the excess fabric on the front and the back of the hoop. Now obviously if you're making this reversible, at this point you need to change your bobbin thread so you've got the same bobbin thread in the machine. Now I actually forgot on one of my samples, and I just show you at the end what I did. I basically used the kids' Sharpies to colour in the back, but you'll see it later on in the video. But if you do want it to be the same on the back as on the front, change your bobbin thread now. So then you're back to your machine, and now once again just watch that one edge. Now it's just going to do that, it's going to do an initial zigzag, and then it will do the satin stitch edge, which just gives that lovely bound edge. And that's the bottom of the pocket made. So now we just remove the hoop from the machine, and we're just going to cut away the excess stabiliser, and you go fairly close to the satin stitch edges. That just makes it easier to remove on the edges with hot water later. But at that top edge, the raw edge, that's going to be where you join the next piece. So just take a bit more time to cut that one a little bit closer, or just as close as you can to that stitch line. Just makes it easier for the join. And there we go. Segment 1 is done. So we do exactly the same steps for the head. So basically it's hooping your stabiliser and stitching that outline onto the stabiliser. Now another error I made, I forgot to add the hanging tab, so I added it later, but if you wanted a wee hanging tab, put it on now in the centre before you add the batting. And here we go, we've got the batting. And it's just the same steps as before, so you do the outline on the batting. And then we're going to remove the hoop from the machine and cut away that excess batting. And it's about this point I realised I had forgotten to add a hanging tab. So never fear, you still get one more chance. You can just place it in. There is a guideline on the stabiliser, and you can just tape it in place now before you add your actual fabric. There we go. Now we're not worrying about the backing at this point because we're going to do Santa's face first, but we place our white fabric over the hoop, and it just stitches an outline and just shows you the different segments. Now you've got, the design has a section for the hat and a section for the gloves. Now I've used the same fabric, but I've just shown it in the two pieces just so that you get the idea. So just tape in place because it's going to just sew that little bit, the hat piece. So we just remove from the hoop, and we're just going to cut away the material just on the inside of Santa's face. And then we're going to put the glove fabric. And it's just going to stitch or attach those. Now there is a jump between those two. There's not a lot I could do with that. Now the outline's stitched around twice too to give you a nice crisp cutting edge. And just again, we're just cutting away that inner fabric on the inside of Santa's face. Now the next step's going to be a zigzag. Now I'm just using the gold. I think you've realised by now I'm using sort of a gold thread throughout, but you can use white or a neutral thread, or if you're really worried about different colours, you can use the monofilament, the clear quilting thread. I use that quite often because, you know, there obviously if you've got red thread, black thread, grey thread, you might not want the white showing through, so you could do it that way. Just use the monofilament clear thread. So there we go, we've done the zigzag. That's just to keep everything stabilised while you do the stitch out of Santa's face. So here we've just got stitches in the face details, pale pink, and I'm sure I'll zip through this because yes I do. So we've got the eyes and then the facial features, the eyebrows and the moustache that we do before we put the backing, which is now. So now we're going to put the backing on, and you can see I forgot to change my bobbin thread out, so I've still got matching bobbin thread in there. Once again, we're just going to tape that backing fabric onto the back of the hoop, and then we're just going to take it back to the machine and just attach that backing fabric. And that's, again, just going to stitch around twice just to give you a nice cutting edge. And I'm sure you know the next step. We just remove the hoop from the machine and we cut away that excess fabric on the back and the front of the hoop, just as before. Now once we've done that, you take it back to the machine and you're just going to do the next stitch, which just zigzags just right around the edges of the design and stops where you're going to join the next part, the exciting part. So here we go. You're going to place stitch line upon stitch line, so there's a slight overlap there, very slightly, and taping it in place. Now I just tape outside the stitch line. I don't like stitching over tape, it is personal preference. And so it's like a jigsaw at this point, but you're just placing the stitch lines upon each other, just this tiny slight overlap. Then off to your machine. Now if you can, slow your machine down, or start and stop as you please. But the machine's just going to do a zigzag. It's just going to do a zigzag stitch that joins the two pieces of fabric together. And I'm doing my best to keep the fingers away from the machine because I have a terrible habit of using my fingers. So there I've got a pencil just holding down that bottom piece. Now you just do a quick check to make sure that you have joined the stitches joined both sides. You can see there. Now if it hasn't, you're going to have to redo it. But otherwise, as long as you've got both sides joint in, that's it. You just go back and it's the beginning of just the satin stitch edges for the design. So obviously this one I've done all in gold. So I've just gone through the colours, but you could have red. Santa's hat's red, and then you've got the white or the grey for the hat, and then you've got the colour for the gloves. There you go, magic of video, it's done. And that's it. All finished. So you would just remove from the hoop, and again you're just going to use some sharp scissors and cut away close to the edge of the water stabilizer, and just make sure you don't cut off the hanging tabs. I've done that many times. And then you just need to get some, I use hot water from the jug and a Q-tip, and just go around the edges, and that's how you can remove all traces of that water-soluble stabilizer. Now it's a really cute wee size for gift cards, or say money or lollies. That works out to be about 4 inches wide, or just under 4 inches wide, and just under 7 inches long. So it's good size. Now, my 5x7 sample, I just use vinyl on the pocket. That way you can have the best of both worlds. You can put someone's name on the front and then just have the piece of vinyl as the pocket. It's actually a different design file in your folder because we just do a slightly different construction. So it's all in the instructions, but you basically use the file marked vinyl, and you do everything the same, and except we've split out the satin stitch and the decorative stitch. So you do your satin stitch around the edge of the pocket, then you place your vinyl on top of that, and then you just stitch the pretty decorative stitch which holds the vinyl. Now we just do that. If we put the vinyl on before the satin stitch, it might cut the vinyl basically. So just using that decorative stitch still holds the vinyl in place, and yeah, you get the best of both worlds. Now, as promised, I thought I'd show you my blooper. I did with my 5x7 sample, I forgot to change the bobbin thread. Now I'm going to make quite a few of these for Christmas because I think it's such a cool idea. So I was trying to do these as quick as possible, hence the one fabric, white fabric, and the bobbin thread. But as you see, I forgot it. So I got the kids' Sharpies and I just coloured it in. So the back looks the same as the front. Now obviously for the next lot I will change the bobbin thread, but that's a really quick hack. If you're like me, you've just forgotten to change the bobbin thread on something like that. So there's the wee 5x7 design. And as I say, I'm doing them quickly just in one fabric. So it's a design you can do all sorts of things with. You can use it as an ornament, gift cards, just nice for Christmas. I hope you enjoy making them. The links below to show you where you can actually get the design from and how to visit our website. Please join our Kreative Kiwi Facebook group where you can share what you do make and get some inspiration and support from all the group members. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.